Hey folks, welcome to Transplant Helper. Today, my name is Jim Burrell. Today I want to pause for just a moment to answer a viewer's question concerning how to obtain your medical records. Now this question really comes along in my series on how to win your Social Security disability and several comments I make throughout that video series about the best way to do that is by obtaining your medical records in hand and then hand delivering them to the Social Security office. But the question is, how do we go about doing that? Well, basically, here's what I would do. Number one, I would take and call up my doctor's offices and or hospital and ask them basically, where do you house your records? Some doctor's offices nowadays don't actually house the medical records in-house, and so they may be referring you to yet another building or another place where you might find those records. Now, once you have established that those records can be located physically, then you need to take your trip and go down to that office, whatever it is, whether it be the doctor's office, the hospital, the specific offices you've been to before, or maybe a special office somewhere in a basement somewhere that nobody knew existed, and ask for your medical records in person, in hand. Now, basically what they're going to have to do then is to ask you to sign a medical release form, in turn giving them permission to even print out those records. And then probably right then is where you're going to have to be very kind, but at the same time, stand your ground, because probably at that point they're going to do a couple of different things. One, they're going to turn to you and say, well, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, we'd be more than happy to print your records out. However, they're going to cost X amount of dollars or cents per page. And what they're really trying to do to you then is to discourage you from having that physical copy. You have to just go ahead and know at that point that whatever it is you end up getting out of the benefit of Social Security in the end, especially the things to which you have a right to gain, that's going to be worth it in the long run. So even if they try to charge you, say, $1 a page and you have to print off 200 or 300 pages, which, yeah, that can happen, even if they do that, it's probably going to be well worth it in the end. In the second place, they're going to try to be very kind, and then they're going to say, Mr. and Miss So-and-so, we'd be more than happy to send these records over for you, whether it be by fax, by mail, by whatever means. They're probably then going to in turn to send those records over to Social Security and disability offices for you. That's where you really have to stand your ground and say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to do that. I need a physical copy. Because if you get back into that whole ball of confusion called the mail service, called email or fax especially, then you don't really have a way of tracking those records. Number one, to see if those records are adequate. Number two, to see if those records actually got delivered, because you're probably going to keep getting the runaround like you have now, where if you were to walk out of that building that day, they're going to say, we'll get them off by Friday. Come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can't get anybody on either end to tell you those records have actually been sent, and you certainly don't know what they said. So go ahead, stand your ground, be nice, but stand your ground, get that physical copy, take them home with you. And even though some of the lingo, the jargon in there, it's going to be quite confusing and quite doctorish, if that's the word, you can probably read through it well enough to see what is in those records and then make your own judgment as to whether or not they're complete, whether or not everything is there. And then if you want to in turn, then go and turn them in to the Social Security Disability Office. And this is where you really got to put your head to the paperwork and really think things through and make sure that you have all the records and sufficient records to prove your case before going down there to begin with. I really appreciate this question. I appreciate every one of you who have viewed this series of videos and other of my videos. I hope that this, what I've told you today, is going to help you out a little bit. I wish you the best of luck in your case, and I hope and pray that you'll get exactly what you deserve. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, stay stronger, friends.